It was supposed to be an ordinary morning, but for one human child, it became the day that changed the galaxy. Eli was only curious, just a boy chasing after something strange. At the edge of his village, it looked like an animal, but its glowing eyes and silver skin were nothing he had ever seen before. No one else noticed it. No one else even believed it was real, but Eli did. And when he followed it into the shadows of the forest, he stepped into a secret that had been waiting for a human child for thousands of years. What he found that morning would shock the entire galaxy. It was a quiet morning in the small, human village. The sun had just begun to rise, painting the sky in soft orange and gold. The air was cool, and most people were still sleeping in their homes. Birds sang in the trees, and the sound of leaves moving with the breeze made the morning peaceful. But for one child, this day was not going to be peaceful at all. It would become the start of something that no one in the galaxy could have imagined. His name was Eli. He was young, curious, and always asking questions about the world. While other children liked to stay near their homes, Eli liked to explore. He often went to the edge of the village to look at the forest that surrounded it. His parents told him not to wander too far, but Eli's heart was full of curiosity. He wanted to see more, to find something new. That morning, as the sun rose higher, Eli noticed something strange near the edge of the trees. At first, he thought it was just an animal from the forest, but when he looked closer, he realized it was not like any animal he had seen before. Its eyes glowed faintly, like soft blue fire, and its skin shimmered as if tiny stars were hidden. Beneath it, it moved gracefully, almost too gracefully, as if it did not belong to the same world. Eli's heart began to beat faster. He blinked, wondering if his eyes were playing tricks on him. The creature looked back at him, holding its gaze for a moment. There was no sound, no call, no warning. But in that silent look, Eli felt something. It was as if the animal wanted him to follow. He took a step forward, slowly, carefully. The creature turned and began to move toward the forest. Eli's curiosity grew stronger. He looked back at the village, where everything was still quiet, and then turned again toward the glowing animal. Something inside him whispered that this was important. Something told him that this was not just a creature, it was the beginning of something far greater. Without thinking much more, Eli followed. His small feet carried him quickly over the grass, past the last fence of the village, and into the shadows of the forest. The morning light faded under the tall trees, and the air became cooler. The forest was full of whispers, the sound of wind through branches, the songs of unseen birds, and the quiet steps of the glowing creature leading the way. Eli tried to keep up, but the creature was fast. Sometimes it disappeared between the trees, only for its shimmering glow to appear again further ahead. Each time Eli thought he had lost it, the creature slowed down, waiting just enough for him to see. It was as if it wanted him there, as if it was guiding him somewhere. The deeper Eli went, the stranger everything began to feel. The forest, which was usually familiar and friendly, seemed different now. The air was heavier, carrying a faint hum, like energy moving through the ground itself. Eli did not understand it, but he felt it in his chest, almost like the forest was alive in a new way. After some time, the creature stopped near a rocky hill. At the base of the hill was a dark opening, a cave. Eli froze for a moment. He had never been inside a cave before, and he knew caves could be dangerous. But the animal stood at the entrance, its blue eyes glowing brighter, watching him calmly. It did not seem threatening. It seemed patient. It seemed as though it was waiting for him. Eli swallowed hard, his small hands trembling just a little. He wanted to turn back, to run home and forget everything. But another feeling was stronger than fear, curiosity. Something told him that, if he walked away now, he would regret it forever. This was not just about following an animal. This was about discovering something hidden, something no one else had seen. So he took a deep breath and stepped forward. The cool air of the cave touched his skin, sending a shiver down his spine. The creature moved inside, and Eli followed closely. At first, it was only darkness. His footsteps echoed softly, and his breathing felt louder than usual. Then, slowly, faint lights began to appear along the walls. Eli's eyes widened. Symbols glowed faintly in the stone, shapes he had never seen before. They looked ancient, as if they had been there for thousands of years. The glowing animal stopped in the middle of the chamber, and the light from its body made the walls shine even brighter. Eli stared in awe, unable to believe what he was seeing. This was no ordinary cave. It was something hidden, something built long before his time. He reached out his hand and gently touched one of the glowing symbols. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hum, the entire wall lit up. Strange lights spread across the chamber, forming patterns and lines that reached the ceiling. Eli gasped. The creature looked at him with its glowing eyes, and Eli understood. It had brought him here for a reason. It had been waiting for him to arrive. The cave was no longer silent. The walls seemed to whisper in a language Eli could not understand. But deep inside, he felt a truth rising within him. This was not just about him, or his village, or even his world. What he had just stepped into was far bigger. Eli had no idea yet. But this moment, the simple choice to follow, was the beginning of something that would shake the entire galaxy. Eli stood still inside the glowing cave, his eyes wide with wonder. The walls shimmered with strange lights and shapes he could not understand. They moved slowly, like stars shifting across the night sky. He had never seen anything so beautiful, so mysterious. The creature stood a few steps ahead, its body glowing, softly waiting for him. It did not speak, yet Eli felt as if it was guiding him with silent patience. He took a careful step forward, his hand brushing against the stone wall. The surface was warm, almost alive. The glowing lines pulsed under his touch, spreading across the chamber in patterns that reminded him of constellations. Eli did not know what they meant, but he could feel they were important. It was as though the cave itself was awake now, aware of his presence. The creature moved deeper into the chamber. Eli hesitated for a moment, then followed closely. The floor dipped downward, forming a long passage that seemed endless. The air grew cooler, and a faint hum vibrated through the ground. Each step he took made the hum louder, as if he was walking closer to something hidden for ages. As the passage opened into another chamber, Eli gasped. This place was larger, taller than the first. The ceiling stretched so high he could barely see it in the dim glow. Strange machines stood against the walls, silent, covered in dust, yet still alive with tiny sparks of light. Their shapes were unlike anything built by human hands. They looked old, but not broken. They looked like they had been waiting. Eli's heart beat faster. He walked slowly, eyes fixed on the glowing symbols etched into the floor. They connected in lines, forming a path toward the center of the chamber. The creature stepped onto the path, its glowing body making the symbols shine brighter. Eli followed carefully, his small feet touching each glowing shape. With every step, the chamber lit up more, until the darkness faded into a soft silver glow. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, smooth and shining as though it had just been made. On top of it rested a crystal, glowing faintly with shifting colors: blue, green, and gold. Moving like a heartbeat, Eli stopped, staring at it in silence. The crystal seemed alive, like it was breathing. He felt drawn to it, as though it was calling his name without words. The creature looked at him, its glowing eyes calm and knowing. Eli realized it had brought him here for this very moment. His hand trembled as he reached forward. The closer he came to the crystal, the stronger the hum grew. The sound filled the chamber, echoing through the stone, until it felt like the walls themselves were singing. When his fingers brushed the surface of the crystal, light burst across the chamber. It spread like water, climbing the walls, racing to the ceiling, filling every corner with brilliant color. Eli closed his eyes against the brightness, his heart racing. For a moment, he felt weightless, as if he was floating in space itself. When he opened his eyes again, he was no longer just in the chamber. The crystal was showing him something. Stars appeared all around him, swirling galaxies stretching into endless space. He saw planets, moons, and distant suns. He saw shapes moving across the stars, ships unlike any he had imagined, vast and shining, crossing the galaxy. Eli could not move. His small body stood frozen, but his mind was filled with images. He saw cities of light on faraway worlds. He saw creatures with forms both beautiful and strange, speaking in languages he could not hear yet somehow felt. He saw a history too vast to understand, a story written across the stars. Then the vision changed. The stars dimmed, and he saw shadows spreading through the galaxy. Worlds fell into silence, and shining cities turned dark. Great fleets moved across the stars, searching, chasing, hunting for something. Eli did not know what they wanted, but he felt the weight of their search. He felt the fear that had once shaken entire civilizations. And then the crystal showed him something that made his breath catch. Among all the stars, among all the countless worlds, it showed Earth his own home, small and blue, shining in the darkness of space. The vision focused on it, almost as if it was the key to everything. Eli felt his chest tighten. Why would the crystal show Earth? Why would it show him? The images faded slowly, and Eli found himself standing once again in the chamber, the crystal glowing faintly before him. His knees felt weak, and his hands trembled. He looked at the creature, who stood quietly, watching him. Somehow, Eli understood. The crystal had been waiting for someone human. The creature stepped closer, lowering its glowing head as if to bow. Eli did not understand the meaning of the gesture, but he felt the weight of it. He was just a child, yet the cave, the crystal, and the visions had chosen him. A deep unease filled his heart. He was not ready for this, not ready for what it all meant. But at the same time, he knew he could not turn back. The cave was silent again. But the silence no longer felt empty. It felt heavy, full of secrets that stretched far beyond his understanding. Eli took a deep breath and looked at the crystal one more time. Something had been set in motion. He had touched a secret hidden for ages, and nothing would ever be the same again. Eli stood very still in the middle of the chamber, his eyes locked on the glowing crystal. The vision still lingered in his mind, and he could not forget the images of stars, ships, and strange worlds. His hands were still shaking, but the creature beside him seemed calm, almost peaceful, as if everything that had happened was exactly what it had been waiting for. The cave was silent again, yet the silence carried a weight. It was not empty anymore. It was full of meaning, full of something Eli did not yet understand. He looked at the creature, its blue eyes steady, its body shimmering with faint light. For a moment, he felt that it wanted to speak to him, but no words came. Instead, the creature tilted its head slightly, as if asking him to follow. Eli hesitated. His heart was full of questions. Why had the crystal shown him those visions? Why Earth? Why him? He wanted to ask, but he knew the creature would not answer in the way humans did. Still, he felt a strange connection, a bond forming between them somehow. He knew the creature could hear his thoughts, even without words. The animal began to move slowly round the pedestal, and Eli followed. The glowing symbols on the floor lit up again as they stepped across them, forming a path toward another passage. This passage was narrower, its walls covered with lines of light that looked like writing, though Eli could not read them. He brushed his fingers across one line, and an image appeared in his mind, a star being born in the middle of dark space. He gasped softly and pulled his hand back. The writing was alive, full of memory. The passage opened into a smaller chamber, darker than the one before. In the center was another strange object shaped like a sphere, half hidden inside a structure of stone. Its surface shifted like water, glowing faintly with silver ripples. The creature stepped closer, lowering its head toward the sphere, and Eli felt an invisible pull. He stepped forward too, and the moment he touched the smooth surface, the chamber filled with light again. This time, there was no vision of stars. Instead, Eli saw pictures in his mind, soft and quick like dreams. He saw the creature standing beside others like it, guiding children from different worlds. He saw the children touching the same crystal, each one chosen for a reason. He saw their eyes wide with wonder, just like his. But he also saw them disappear, fading into time, leaving only the memory behind. Eli pulled back, his breath shaky. The creature looked at him again, and he finally spoke in a whisper, though he did not expect an answer. "Why me?" The glowing eyes blinked slowly, and then Eli felt something stir inside his head. It was not a voice, but a thought, gentle, Calm, yet clear. Because you are human. Eli gasped. The thought was not his, yet it filled his mind as if it had always been there. He stared at the creature, realizing it had just spoken to him, not with words, but with something deeper. He touched the sphere again, and the thought grew stronger. Long ago, a choice was made. The crystal listens only to the touch of your kind. Ellie's mind raced. Only humans? He was just a child from a small village, and now he was being told that something older than his world had been waiting for him. His heart pounded in his chest, but the creature's calm presence steadied him. The thought came again, soft but powerful. You carry the key that others cannot. The galaxy will search, but it will not find unless it finds you. Eli felt a chill. The vision of great fleets moving through space returned to him. They were searching, chasing something hidden. Could it be this? Could it be him? He backed away slowly, shaking his head. I don't understand, he whispered. The creature stepped closer, its shimmering light washing over him. Another thought filled his mind. You will understand in time. The path is not chosen by you. It is chosen for you. Eli wanted to run, to go back to his village, to forget the cave, the crystal, the visions. But deep inside, he knew that was impossible now. He had touched something too big, too old, too important. The creature had shown him a truth that could not be unseen. The chamber grew dim again as the light of the sphere faded. Eli stood in silence, breathing heavily. His heart was full of fear, but also something else, wonder. He had always dreamed of finding something beyond his small world, but never had he imagined this. The creature turned toward another passage that seemed to lead even deeper underground. It paused and looked back at Eli, waiting. For a moment, Eli thought of home, of his parents, of the warmth of the morning sun, of the safety of the familiar village. But then he thought of the stars, of the crystal showing Earth, of the voice in his mind saying, because you are human. His curiosity returned, stronger than his fear. He took a deep breath, lifted his chin, and followed the creature once more. Into the unknown, the darkness welcomed them, and the hum of the ancient cave grew louder. Eli could not know what waited ahead, but he felt it would not be ordinary. The secret was not finished yet. The deeper he went, the clearer it became that his life was no longer his alone. It now belonged to something far greater, something that stretched across the galaxy. Eli followed the creature deeper into the cave, the sound of his small footsteps echoing softly against the stone walls. The light from the glowing lines guided him forward, each symbol coming alive as he passed. He had never been this far beneath the ground before, and each step felt like he was walking farther away from the life he had always known. Yet something inside him kept him moving. He could not turn back, even if he wanted to. The tunnel curved and widened until it opened into a vast chamber. Eli stopped at the entrance, his mouth falling open in awe. This chamber was unlike the others. It was not empty stone. It looked like a place built for gathering. High pillars stretched to the ceiling, glowing faintly, and across the wide floor were rows of shapes that looked like seats, long and curved, made from the same shining stone. It looked almost like a hall, waiting for voices that had been silent for ages. At the far end stood another pedestal, taller than the one he had touched before. Upon it rested a crystal, but this one was larger and brighter. Its glow filled the hall with shifting light, blue and gold dancing across the walls. Eli stepped forward slowly, his eyes fixed on it, his heart beating quickly. He felt as though the crystal was alive, breathing, watching him. The creature stopped near the edge of the hall and lowered its head, letting Eli move forward alone. Ellie's hands trembled as he walked down the center path, the glow of the crystal pulling him closer. The hum in the air grew stronger, vibrating through his skin and bones. Each step felt heavier, yet he could not stop. When he reached the pedestal, he lifted his hand again. He hesitated, remembering the visions from before, but his curiosity was stronger than his fear. He placed his hand on the surface of the crystal. The hall exploded with light. The pillars flared bright, the walls shone with symbols, and the seats glowed as if invisible figures had suddenly returned to sit in them. Eli gasped, his eyes wide as images filled his mind again. This time, he saw not just stars, but faces, alien faces from many worlds. Some had skin of silver, some with wings, some with eyes like mirrors. They sat in this very hall long ago. Their voices joined together. Eli realized this was a council, a place where many kinds had once gathered. They spoke of peace, of knowledge, of keeping balance in the galaxy. But then, the vision shifted. Eli saw the hall growing empty, the seats abandoned, the voices gone. He saw the crystals dim, and the chambers grow silent. The council had ended, leaving behind only memory. And then he saw something that made him tremble, the crystals being hidden, locked away, guarded carefully by the glowing creatures like the one beside him. The vision faded, and Eli was left standing in the silent hall, the light of the crystal still glowing beneath his hand. His chest rose and fell quickly. He understood now. This place was not built for humans. It was built by many worlds together, long ago. But the crystals had chosen to wait, and now they had answered only to him. He pulled his hand back, and the hall dimmed once more. The creature stepped forward slowly, its blue eyes fixed on him. Again, a thought filled Ellie's mind, calm and clear. Now you know. What was once united is now forgotten. But the memory lives within you. Eli swallowed hard. Why me? I'm just a child, he whispered. The thought came again. Because you are human. The ones who came before saw a future in your kind. The crystals wait for your touch, not theirs. Eli felt his chest tighten. The visions of the searching fleets returned to his mind. If those who still wandered the galaxy were looking for these crystals, then they were searching for him without knowing it. That meant danger not only for him, but for his home. He looked around the vast, silent hall, his mind racing. He wanted to believe he could go back to his village, to his parents, to the safety of his small world. But deep inside, he knew the truth. Things would not be the same anymore. The creature turned suddenly, its body glowing brighter. Eli felt a strange vibration in the air. Not from the crystal this time, but from outside. The chamber itself seemed to tremble faintly. The creature stepped quickly toward the tunnel, looking back at Eli with urgency in its glowing eyes. Ellie's heart skipped a beat. Something was happening outside. He hurried after it, following back through the glowing passages. The hum grew, louder, deeper, as if the cave itself was warning them. They reached an opening that looked like a window carved into stone, and Eli peered out. His eyes widened, his breath caught in his throat. Above the forest, the sky was no longer calm. Strange lights moved across it, lights that did not belong to stars. They were ships, large and distant, gliding silently through the sky. Their shapes were unfamiliar, and they glowed with a color that felt cold and strange. Eli stared in silence, his small hands pressing against the stone. He did not know who they were, but he knew they were not from his world. He also knew they were searching. He could feel it in the way the hum of the cave grew stronger. The creature lowered its head, its eyes glowing fiercely now, as if it too understood the danger. Ellie's heart pounded. The visions had shown him fleets searching across the stars. Now those very ships were here, above his own world, above his home. They were close, closer than he had ever imagined. He stepped back from the window, his mind spinning. The crystal had chosen him. The creature had guided him. And now something far greater had come to find what had been hidden. He realized with a shiver that he was no longer only a boy chasing a strange animal in the forest. He was part of something much larger, something that could reach across the galaxy itself. The creature turned once more, leading him away from the window and deeper into the cave again. Eli followed, his heart heavy with fear and wonder. He did not yet know what would happen, but one truth was clear. The secret was no longer safe. Others had come, and they were already searching for him. The child stood quietly near the glowing stone, his small hands trembling as he touched its smooth surface. For the first time since he had followed the alien animal into the forest, he felt both fear and wonder together. The stone was alive. It hummed gently, as if breathing, and patterns of light shifted across it like the skin of a living creature. When he leaned closer, it almost seemed to whisper his name. Behind him, the animal watched carefully, its eyes bright with a strange mix of caution and trust. It had led him here for a reason. The child thought about running back to his village, but deep inside he knew that something important was about to happen. His curiosity was stronger than his fear. The stone suddenly shone brighter, filling the clearing with light. The child gasped and covered his eyes, but instead of hurting him, the light wrapped around him like warm water. In that glow, he saw images, stars, planets, and cities that floated in the sky. He saw tall beings with long limbs, their faces hidden behind silver masks. He didn't understand the pictures, but he knew they were trying to show him something. The animal walked closer and pressed its head against the stone. The lights shifted again, this time showing the child himself. He saw his face, small and human, standing among the tall beings of light. The vision made his heart race. Why was he there? Why would these strange pictures show him with them? The child whispered, "Why me?" The stone pulsed once, almost like an answer. At that moment, he felt a gentle push in his mind, as if someone far away was reaching out to him. It wasn't scary, it felt like someone calling him, someone who already knew him. The animal gave a soft sound, almost like encouragement, and the boy realized he wasn't alone anymore. Then the vision changed. Darkness swept across the stars. He saw great ships moving through space, their engines glowing like fire. He saw worlds turning silent. And then, once again, he saw himself, this time standing with a group of humans and aliens together, holding something that glowed like the stone. The picture faded, leaving only the soft light of the stone in front of him. The child pulled his hand back, breathing fast. The forest seemed strangely quiet now, as if waiting. The animal tilted its head and started to move slowly toward a narrow path that stretched deeper into the woods. It paused, looking back at him, as though asking if he was ready to follow. The boy hesitated. If he went back to his village, nobody would believe him. They would laugh if he talked about glowing stones and visions of stars. But if he followed the animal, he might discover the truth. His heart beat faster, but he knew the choice had already been made. He stepped forward. The path twisted through the forest until it opened into a wide valley. What the boy saw there made him stop in shock. Hidden between the tall trees was a shape too smooth and too perfect to belong to nature. It looked like a ship, but not like any ship he had ever known. Its surface glowed faintly, the same light as the stone, and strange symbols ran across its hull. The animal walked confidently toward it, while the boy's feet felt heavy. He realized now that this wasn't just a discovery, it was a secret, hidden for who knows how long, and somehow the animal had chosen him to find it. As he stepped closer, a low hum filled the air, the same sound the stone had made earlier. The ground beneath his feet almost seemed to vibrate with life. He could sense something waiting inside the ship, something that knew he had arrived. The boy whispered to himself, "This is not just my adventure. This is bigger, much bigger." And in that moment, he felt the eyes of the galaxy turning toward him, even though he didn't yet know what role he was about to play. The stars outside the dome seemed brighter that night, almost as if they were whispering secrets to anyone brave enough to listen. The human sat quietly near the crystal pond, the surface reflecting both his face and the vast galaxy above. He was deep in thought, wondering how life had changed so quickly. Just days ago, he had been just another visitor, curious and uncertain. Now he was someone the alien queen looked to with trust, as if his presence carried a meaning larger than he could yet understand. The queen walked slowly towards him, her steps light but filled with unspoken weight. Her gown shimmered faintly in the starlight, each fold catching the glow like liquid silver. She stopped near him, not saying anything at first. Instead, she let the silence linger, as if waiting for the right moment to speak. Finally, her voice broke the stillness, soft yet carrying a depth that reached into his chest. She told him that her world was entering a time of change, and for the first time, she admitted that she was afraid. It was not fear of enemies or battles, but fear of trust, of opening herself to someone beyond her people. The human turned his gaze from the stars to her. His answer was simple, but it carried the warmth she had been searching for. He told her that fear was not weakness, it was a sign that something mattered deeply, and if she was willing, he would walk beside her through that fear, never leaving her to face it alone. For a moment, the queen's eyes softened in a way no one in her kingdom had ever seen. She sat beside him, their reflections now joined on. The pond's surface, the galaxy above seemed to bend closer, as if watching over this quiet bond forming between the beings from worlds apart. She reached out, almost hesitantly, and placed her hand near his. Not touching, just close enough to feel the warmth. Her voice trembled when she whispered that she never thought she would find someone who would see her as more than a ruler. She had been a queen to everyone, but tonight, sitting by the pond, she felt like just herself with him. The human smiled gently. He told her that he never saw her crown first, nor her throne. What he saw was her heart, and that was what kept him near. His words seemed to echo in the quiet night, sinking deep into her soul. For a long time, they sat without speaking, the silence no longer heavy but comforting. The stars above moved slowly, as if giving them time. The queen finally leaned closer, her voice a breath, asking if he would still choose to stay even if the path ahead was uncertain. His reply came without pause he already had. A calmness settled over her, and for the first time, the queen allowed herself to close her eyes, resting against him ever so slightly. The human didn't move, didn't question. He simply stayed, letting the moment speak louder than any promise could. That night marked the beginning of something neither of them had planned for. Not an alliance written on stone, not a treaty between worlds, but a connection that felt both fragile and unbreakable at once. Somewhere in the vast galaxy, two lives had crossed paths, and nothing would ever be the same again.